the kinetic energy in joules of an object with mass 9 kilograms traveling at the speed of v meters per second is given by the function k, where k of v is equal to 9 over 2 times v squared. Which of the following is the best interpretation of k of 34 is equal to 5,202 in this context, right? So this question, you don't really need to do any math because the fundamental concept they're testing you on is interpreting functions, right? Interpreting functions. Okay, that's the fundamental concept they are going to be testing you on. You could even extend this further and be like, this is just SAT algebra, but the main thing they are testing you on is how to interpret functions in the real world. Okay, so first let's understand what this function is, right? We are basically given some function of the velocity of this object, right? We get the joules in terms of the velocity, right? So depending on the velocity, we will get a different number in joules, right? And how do we know that? Because when we see this k of v, right, we know that v, the velocity, is an input for this function, right? So that in turn tells us that any change in the velocity is going to cause a change in the total energy or joules, right? So that's one thing we need to understand, where when you have this function notation, our input is always going to be the thing in the parentheses, and our output is basically the uppercase letter or f of x, right? You might have seen it in terms like f of x or g of x. The point is that anytime you have some variable in the parentheses next to the actual function itself, right? That just basically denotes the input, right? So just a little helpful hint there, right? So let's read through the answer choices and see which one kind of match how they describe this function, right? And what is this function? This function is nothing more than the kinetic energy in joules based on the velocity, right? The input velocity, okay? So with that in mind, let's read the answer choices and eliminate some. First one, D, I can see right off the bat that D is a bad answer because it just has this random number that exists out of nowhere, right? Where does this number come from? How did they make this number? You don't even need to do any math for this question, right? So they just threw this number in to try and trick you. So instantly cross out D. All right, so now we're left with A, B, and C because these kind of have numbers that we're seeing in the